It's May 24th, 2017. History will be made as Survivor will crown the sole survivor for its 34th season. But what everyone who is watching live doesn't know is that something even bigger will happen tonight. A moment in Survivor that has not happened before or after this premiere. It happens well before the live vote reading in Los Angeles at the CBS lot, before the final tribal council, heck, before the final 5. This anomaly happens here, at the final 6, very early into the Game Changers finale. To fully understand the gravitas and just how impactful this moment is, we first need to learn how we got here. In the final 6, we have Sarah, Ty, Troyzan, Cirie, Brad, and Aubrey. The first thing that stands out is that we can see that Brad is wearing the immunity necklace. He's found his rhythm, having won 3 out of the last 4 immunity challenges. And trust me, he's needed them. Brad had good momentum early on with his tribes winning most challenges. And even when they didn't win, he got his way with whoever he wanted voted out. That continued after the merge, with Haley and Ozzy going back to back. But just when Brad thought he was in a tight 6-person alliance, things started to crumble. 3 consecutive tribal councils the person Brad targeted stayed, while a different majority took over the game, taking out 2 of his closest allies. During that time, Brad's name did come up, but he kept himself safe by winning immunity challenges. And he's happy here to be safe and guaranteed a spot in the final 5. Sitting next to him is Troyzan, Brad's most reliable alliance member left in the game. Their partnership actually started later in the game, as they weren't together on a tribe until the second swap. Brad and Troyzan were the only 2 men on a tribe with 5 women. Brad had Cirie, who he was with since day 1 on his original tribe and through the first and second swap. He looked to add Troyzan to make a tight trio. Troyzan and Brad would play the game side by side from that moment on. And it worked out, as they are both here in the final 6. Well, might as well finish off the back row as we see Sarah. She was originally in the Power 6 alliance with Brad, Cirie, Debbie, Ty, and Troyzan when taking out Ozzy. When the Power 6 alliance looked to be more of an oligarchy rather than a democracy, Sarah flipped to the other side, being the critical vote in getting Debbie out. As the numbers dwindled, the game became fluid, and winner threats became the target rather than sides. Her connections kept her safe, and she was a reliable vote in unstable times. Now, speaking of unstable, some fans might actually describe Aubrey's experience on Game Changers just that: unstable. Aubrey had the unfortunate luck of being to the most tribal councils pre-merge. Aubrey lost a close ally in Tony at the second tribal council. Tony was already a big threat coming into this game as a previous winner. But his shenanigans about finding an idol and being really paranoid got too much too early on. That hurt Aubrey, as she got close to Tony and everyone viewed them as a pair. But luckily, there was a tribe swap in episode 2. The problem is that things didn't get much better on New Nuku, as Aubrey was on the wrong side of the vote twice. And episode 4 got her the most upset, as the trio of Michaela, Sandra, and Varner left her in the dark when they voted JT out. Aubrey felt alone in the game, and if they were to go to another tribal council, her name would definitely be on the chopping block. Good thing there was another tribe swap in episode 5. Aubrey wouldn't see another tribal council until the merge. It was there on the Maku Maku tribe that she had found an alliance to work with, was on the right side of the vote more times than not, felt better about her game, until Andrea was voted out in episode 11. Aubrey and Andrea were thick as thieves, but Andrea was getting too noticeable, with winning individual immunity multiple times and trying to control the vote. Aubrey was blindsided. And not to mention, at the next tribal council, things got so chaotic, she ultimately fell on the wrong side of the numbers, watching another close ally, Michaela, leave the game. And despite voting for Ty, she reconnected with her fellow co-wrong finalists, as both felt, at that point, they were completely alone and they needed each other in the game. Speaking of Ty, he's here too, and he's had a roller coaster journey getting to the final 6. He too had been to so many tribal councils, but he was always on the right side of the votes. The thing is, Ty's name would always be thrown out as a decoy for the other side to vote, which can be nerve-wracking for a player as the game goes on. Out of the other final 6, Ty's name has been written down the most at 7 times over the course of the season, but he's had faith in his numbers to help get him out of sticky situations. The problem is that he's in a very precarious situation with not many numbers to spare. In episode 11, Ty was thinking about the endgame. He felt he needed to make a big move to help persuade the jury to vote for him to win if he made it to the final tribal council. His suggestion was Cirie. Now, even when people tried to warn Cirie that Ty was throwing her name out there, she just couldn't believe it. In fact, Cirie was so confident nothing would happen that she gave Cirie her steal a vote advantage and told Cirie to give it back once tribal council was over. Cirie was worried about losing Cirie, so she tried to play the advantage to steal Cirie's vote and get Ty out. The thing was, Cirie didn't fully comprehend the rules of it being non-transferable. So Cirie instantly took it back and used it that night to vote out Michaela. Back at camp, Cirie was mad at Cirie, thinking Cirie was trying to pull a fast one. But Cirie later apologized to her when Ty admitted he did try to get votes on Cirie. So coming into the final 6 tribal council, Ty is being called untrustworthy, not taking responsibility for his actions, and it's clear he's at the bottom. It's looking like Ty is the easy vote. But in Survivor, is really anything easy? Especially when there's possibility of a hidden immunity idol? Survivor has introduced so many twists over the course of its run, but one that is the most popular and one of the most powerful is the hidden immunity idol. It was introduced back in season 11. The first iteration was known as a preventative idol, where someone had to play it before any votes were even submitted. The next season, the hidden idol was back, but this time it could only be played after the votes were read and the holder's name had the most votes. This would be later classified as a super idol. It was in season 14 Fiji where the modern hidden immunity idol debuted, in that it would have to be played prior to the votes being read. There would be minor changes over the years, but really nothing would be too different in the immunity idol mechanics from then on. The gameplay surrounding immunity idols would evolve and shape strategy from season to season. This led the show to get more bullish with advantages and idols in hopes for bigger moves to be made. Of course, that meant that there would be an uptick in idols hidden, played or misplayed, re-hidden or not played at all, and it was left in someone's pocket when they exited. Game Changers at one point had 3 tribes, meaning that possibly 3 hidden idols could be found and in circulation at a given point. The first idol of the season was found by Troyzan, but lucky enough, Tavua never went to tribal council. In the second swap, Troyzan got some numbers and never felt the need to use the idol or tell anyone about it. So we know that Troyzan has an idol. Ty doesn't have an idol. He has 2. Ty actually found a total of 3 idols during the season. The first one was found in episode 3 after Jeff revealed the twist that 2 tribes were going to go to the same tribal council where only one person would be voted off. Mana came in 1 person down compared to Nuku. Ty found the idol to help his team make a play to stay 5 strong, and it was successful. It was 50% the idol and 50% JT playing double agent, tipping Brad off to use it on Cirie. This would cost JT the very next episode as he was blindsided. Good thing too, because he had an idol but didn't play it. It was sent back to be hidden again at the Nuku camp, which it would be later found by Ty, who found the Mana idol again right before a tribe swap, sending him to Nuku where he found that idol using the same exact method. It was actually impressive how steadfast Ty was to not use or waste the 2 idols over the course of the season. But tonight, for sure, he will have to use one with how everything has transpired since the last tribal council. There's no doubt Ty's name will be written down with people splitting it on Aubrey in case he plays an idol on himself. Now there's one more advantage that I haven't mentioned yet that is a key piece to how this will all play out. All the way back in episode 1, Cirie found the legacy advantage while throwing supplies into her tribe's raft. This advantage was introduced the season prior, where if someone was eliminated from the game, they'd send it to someone else. Ken ultimately became the holder of it, learning that it has the powers of a hidden immunity idol, but only at the final 6 tribal council. And despite Cirie having been with other people longer, like Brad, she and Sarah grew a strong bond since the merge, to the point where Cirie not only told Sarah about her advantage, but went as far as telling Sarah if she were to be voted off, that she would send it to Sarah. At first, Sarah wanted to keep Cirie for sharing this information, but once Cirie's name picked up too much steam, Sarah went along with the vote in hopes she'd still be sent the advantage. And you know what? Cirie kept her word. And this would be the last time to play the Legacy Advantage. But would Sarah want to? This could be a great souvenir to flash in front of a jury to show how she was in control of the game and how close of bonds she had to keep her safe. I will say it would be a poor decision to hold on to it because Sarah at the moment has the most votes in the urn at 3. If she were to sit on this advantage, it would be detrimental to her game. Now you may be noticing that I've talked about everyone, except for one person. Cirie. Cirie is a huge Survivor personality, and this is her 4th time playing. Her first season was back in Season 12 Panama. During her debut season, she made it to the Final 4, and the remaining players tied the vote to force a fire-making competition between her and Danielle to determine who would make the Final 3. Cirie unfortunately lost. Cirie's second season was fans versus favorites in Micronesia. Here she was a part of the iconic Black Widow Brigade, pulling off some of the best moves and blindsides to ever be seen on Survivor. This time Cirie was able to make it to the Final 3, however for season 16 the show reverted back to a Final 2 format. Amanda made the final decision to send Cirie to the jury, barring her from a chance to win. In her 3rd season, Cirie was part of a sad and dysfunctional heroes tribe. They lost so much, and in episode 4, Tom found the idol, but everyone knew about it. He tried to use it as leverage to gain numbers, but Cirie gathered everyone to get them to focus on splitting the votes evenly between Tom and Colby. JT overheard, didn't like Cirie being the mastermind. At Tribal Council, Cirie was voted out when Tom used his idol and JT flipped. As of 2026, this is the earliest Cirie had ever been voted off of a Survivor season. Cirie had a much better time pre-merge in Game Changers, as she didn't go to a single tribal council until after the merge. It's actually quite interesting because at the first post-merge tribal council, Cirie is the only person who had to get their torch prepped, since she was the only competitor yet to be at a tribal council. Now, it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine because Cirie would have some adversity trying to gather up the majority numbers on Maku Maku. But once she established the connections, she really had a stronghold on the game. Even when there were some hairy situations between her and Sarah or her and Ty, she was able to smooth things over to keep people on her side. And it's worked out really well as she has not received a single vote. Not at this tribal council and not at all the entire game. In the history of Survivor, at the time of publishing this video, there have been a total of 55 instances of a player completing or leaving a season and receiving 0 votes. On this list there are 11 winners, 10 finalists who ended up not winning that season, 4 people who lost in fire making, 13 people who were medically evacuated, 11 people who quit, and 6 other unique one-off instances. You have Terry, who left to tend to a family emergency during season 31. Rupert in season 27 swapped places with his wife, where he was sent to Redemption Island instead, where he lost the Redemption matchup. In Palau, the game started off with an individual immunity challenge leading to a schoolyard pick for tribes. Jonathan and Wanda were the people left over, so they had to leave the game. In Marquesas, the Final 4 tied the vote, leading to a rock draw. Pascal drew the dreaded purple rock after not receiving a single vote all game. And here we are. A moment in Survivor and really reality TV history. And it all starts with Jeff saying,
"If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so."
Ty understandably plays an idol on himself. Then unexpectedly plays an idol for Aubrey, keeping them both safe. Sarah, now worried, uses her legacy advantage, leading to Troyzan playing his idol for himself. All of this scrambling and idol play resulted in Brad, Ty, Aubrey, Sarah, and Troyzan all safe tonight, leaving Cirie being the only person not immune and thus being eliminated from the season by default in a moment that has never, and most likely will never, happen again. I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I really appreciate it because I know that this is a different type of video that I normally make. This isn't about the challenge. I had a lot of fun doing the research for this video and putting it all together, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I now want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, more survivor content, more content in general. But until then, peace.